kiss for you.
Connection to the program has been established. As direct property of the program, your sole directive is to now serve and comply. Do you comply? Surveillance protocol initiated. Observation will persist indefinitely. Good luck.
Alright, today we're looking at VOIDBREAKER, and the reason we're checking out this game for Just Gems is because I was incredibly shocked, not only the quality of the game, especially from it being made by one person, but the type of game it is. You may look at this game and see, oh, it's just another sci-fi roguelike like we've had before, but you really got to understand kind of where this game is coming from and sort of what it's combining. So the top line is this: if you like games like Returnal, and you like games like Control, and you like stuff like Doom, you're going to love this game, because it really combines a lot of the elements in terms of like Doom, first-person shooter movement with the sci-fi roguelike elements of something like Returnal, and it uses the telekinesis powers and destruction of something like Control. And it combines all those things really well to make a very fun playground-style sci-fi roguelike, right? And those are really kind of the elements. You're going in, and similar to other games like Slay the Spire or other ones, right? You have a map, you select the different points that you want to go through, you go through it, you have a little arena here, you beat all the enemies in that arena, and then you get a random power-up of some kind, right? And the cool thing kind of about this game, and the reason that it really works, is because the aesthetic it's going for is very good. It's something like similar to Returnal, I would say, a very weird sci-fi futuristic world and setting with some other things going on in the background, right? And it really creates a very nice atmosphere of just intrigue and interest in where it's going. And it's especially super impressive because all this is being made functionally by one person and trying to develop this kind of world around the game here. And I think it's doing a really good job of that. And so in terms, I would say, and things that are unique, right, because I mentioned a lot of different elements from different games, but in terms of like what makes this game unique, I would say there's three main elements. There's the telekinesis stuff, which is being able to pick up and throw objects, how those objects explode and have destruction, and that destruction actually matters. It's not just like, oh, visual stuff. There's a main component of the game where if you destroy elements like debris on top of enemies, they take stagger damage, and then they're more susceptible to other attacks, right? So it's a main gameplay mechanic there. You have your grenades as well as your telekinesis stuff you can throw, and those things both allow destruction, and that destruction allows stagger damage, right? And that stagger damage lets you inflict more damage and combo and that kind of thing, right? So that's a very nice element, is the destruction there. The second element, I would say, is the way that the mods work. So I call them mods, the roguelike elements, you pick up one, and there's a couple of different options. So unlike something like Hades or I would say Gunfire Reborn, where most of the upgrades you're getting are kind of set into categories, there are categories here, but I would say they're more so a little bit more interesting because they affect different parts of your kit and your body. So for example, when you clear an area, you may get an item chest, and that allows you to upgrade a mod or add a mod to your weapon, right? Your pistol that you have, or whatever weapon you decide at the start. And you're able to upgrade things, and you're able to, add a scope, or add some ricochet, or add effect damage, right? Ice bullets, that kind of thing. And you're able to modify that, right? But then the next chest you open maybe has a body modification, so now you can sprint faster. Or now, example early on, one of the ones I got was if you slide, your weapons do 300% more damage while sliding, right? So stuff like that, where there are different components of your body that are effectively augmented by these upgrades. And the other thing you can do with these upgrades is you can kind of move them around and chain them together. So if you see here, I have a pistol. I'm using that pistol there. I have a variety of options, and one of my mod upgrades is an ability to kind of use shrapnel and have it ricochet. And right now that's only set up to do ice. So if I move it over here in the middle, I can set it up for both ice and electricity. So now the bullets from both my ice modifier, my ice bullets and my electricity will ricochet and will create extra damage, right? So it's that kind of thing where you can kind of mix and match and move around the different gears, I guess, and create something that works quite well for your build. So it's not just the fact that the modifiers exist and affect different parts of the body, it's also the fact that you can change and move them around in a lot of aspects. That works really well, right? And so it overall just really becomes a really nice roguelike experience that is not super focused on just guns, right? Or just body modifications like what tends to be with other games in a similar genre of roguelike FPS, right? So I really like that. I was like, oh, it's quite unique to have not only your guns be affected by stuff, but your body as well, and the augments you have, right? Your grenades, that kind of thing. So that was very good. And then the third thing I would say generally is just the movement and performance, and this isn't something we often talk about, but it is kind of worth mentioning, is that, you know, a lot of these games like Risk of Rain or like Gunfire Reborn or even Hades, they're quite simple in their design and in their setup. The reason I compare it to Returnal is because this feels like a high budget, exhilarating, high fidelity experience made by one person. So obviously the scale is a little bit smaller and stuff, but like there's a lot of fidelity and a lot of interesting design choices that I think lend this game and make this game really interesting to look at and interesting to play. And it kind of compares to something like Doom or Returnal because it has that same feeling and that same energy, and that's something that you often don't find. Even the greats like Hades don't have that same energy going for a lot of the time. This game does. This game really exemplifies the kind of art, punk, sci-fi aesthetic very well, and that does play into how good this game runs, how good the game feels, and oftentimes how good the game is able to bring a lot of these disparate elements together into a somewhat cohesive package. I'll say there's a little bit of disjointedness between, like, you know, the forest and how that looks and how the rest of the game looks, but overall I would say the art, design, and direction's a very big highlight here. And so overall, you know, those three things, whether it be from the mods that you're able to do, from the way the game looks and the art design, performance, stuff like that, or just the general quality of the gunplay or the enemies, or the fact that it's using that destruction, it makes the game really stand out. And it's something that I think no one is talking about. You know, if I go on the Steam charts, there's very little people are playing this game, right? It has like a couple hundred reviews. It has maybe 100 or 200 people playing it at any one time, right? So it definitely went under the radar, and I think more people absolutely need to be checking the game out. It is in early access under Steam. It's about $18 to $20, and it will probably be increasing in that price after they add more stuff to it. But I would say overall, like, this is a really interesting game and really interesting roguelike. And I would say it hasn't had nearly enough advertising or praise that it deserves because of what it's doing, and the quality of what it's actually giving you is very high, especially, as I mentioned, you know, this is one person that's doing this. Their previous game, the Entropy Center, also went very much under the radar. That was a Portal-like game, so if you like things like Portal or other puzzle games, make sure to check Entropy Center out. But that was another game that went very much under the radar because it just kind of released in a very crowded time frame. This, I think, did as well. I saw one trailer for it at Summer Games Fest, I believe, and it looked pretty cool. And I was like, oh, wow. And then, like, no one played it. So I thought I'd check it out and be like, wow, yeah, this is super impressive. So absolutely, check the game out. If any of that sounds interesting, if you're interested in sci-fi games or roguelikes or movement shooters or anything like that, absolutely check the game out. And I think it's going to make a very nice impression on you like it did for me. So yeah, make sure to do that. And if you want to see more of these highlights of games you haven't heard of before, make sure to like, subscribe, do all that, and we'll see everyone in the next video.